You did the thing. You changed the job, the relationship, the routine, maybe even the city. So here's the quiet question that keeps showing up when no one's watching. Why don't I feel better? Why does relief feel delayed or missing entirely? If this was supposed to fix it, why do I still feel flat, unsettled, or oddly empty? And why does it almost feel worse to ask that now, after you finally did what you were supposed to do? Part 1. The promise we all absorb. Most of us grow up with an unspoken promise that feels almost self-evident. If you fix the circumstances, the feelings will follow. If you leave the wrong job, end the wrong relationship, clean up your habits, move to a better place, relief arrives automatically, like a reward for effort. It feels logical. Cause and effect. Effort in, peace out. This belief doesn't come from nowhere. We see it reinforced constantly, even when no one says it out loud. Success stories jump straight from struggle to satisfaction. Before and after narratives cut out the middle entirely, as if the emotional adjustment happened off-screen. No one really talks about the part where things are technically better, objectively improved, yet emotionally confusing. So when that's your experience, it feels personal, like you misjudged yourself, like you misunderstood what you actually needed. And because you did put in effort, real effort, the disappointment carries extra weight. It's not just, I still feel off. It's, I worked for this. I changed things. Why isn't my body cooperating? But the promise didn't fail because you failed. It failed because it oversimplified how human systems actually change. Part 2. Why your feelings didn't catch up. Here's the part almost no one explains in plain language. External change can happen fast. Internal systems don't. Your emotions don't update on decision day. They don't respond to insight, logic, or intention alone. They update through repetition, exposure, and time spent inside the new reality. If your nervous system spent years adapting to pressure, to urgency, instability, emotional vigilance, or constant problem solving, it doesn't instantly relax just because circumstances improve. Think of it like a smoke alarm. It doesn't stop reacting the moment the fire is gone. It needs sustained proof that the air is clear. So even when life stabilizes, your internal responses lag behind. You're living in one chapter, but reacting from another. This creates a strange split that's hard to explain to other people. Logically, you know things are better. Emotionally, your system isn't convinced yet. And that split can be deeply unsettling. It makes you doubt your judgment, your instincts, your ability to know what's actually good for you. But this isn't dysfunction. It's timing. Your emotional system is conservative on purpose. It waits to see if the change lasts. It watches for reversals. It updates slowly because, historically, being wrong had consequences. So relief doesn't arrive on schedule. Not because improvement didn't matter, but because your internal world hasn't finished recalibrating to the new conditions. Part 3. Why improvement can feel worse at first. Here's the part that catches people completely off guard. Sometimes improvement doesn't feel like relief at all. It feels like exposure. When life was difficult, pressure gave you structure. Deadlines, expectations, urgency, those things organized your attention and your energy. You didn't have to ask what mattered. You were responding to what demanded you. But when that pressure disappears, something unexpected happens. The noise fades, and underneath it, there's space. Not clarity, not peace, just space. That space can feel unsettling, not because something is wrong, but because your system isn't used to being unoccupied. Struggle acts like scaffolding. It holds you up while you're inside it. When it comes down, there's a moment where nothing else is supporting you yet. So instead of feeling free, you feel oddly untethered. Like you stepped off a moving walkway that had been carrying you for years, and your body hasn't relearned how to stand still on its own. This is why improvement can feel worse before it feels better. Not because things are falling apart, but because the structure changed faster than your sense of grounding could adjust. Part 4. The identity gap no one warns you about. There's another loss hidden inside big life changes. one people rarely talk about, even in reflective conversations. For a long time, you may have known who you were, because the struggle defined it. You were the responsible one, the reliable one, the strong one who held everything together. Those identities weren't imaginary or exaggerated. They were real adaptations to real circumstances. But when the struggle ends, those identities lose their context, and suddenly you're left without the role that gave you coherence. This is where many people feel untethered, not devastated, not dramatic, just quietly unsure how to orient themselves. You lost a version of yourself. And losing a version of yourself, even one built in survival, creates grief. Not loud grief, identity grief. No one prepares you for that. So instead of recognizing loss, you interpret it as emptiness, or confusion, or proof that the change somehow didn't work. But what's actually happening is simpler than that. You're between identities, and the in-between has no script. Part 5. Why your brain misses the old pain. This is usually where doubt starts to creep in. You remember the old life differently. Not honestly, selectively. You remember the familiarity, the predictability, the strange comfort of knowing exactly what was expected of you. This isn't self-sabotage, it's familiarity bias. The brain prefers known discomfort over unknown stability. Not because pain is good, but because predictability feels safer than ambiguity. The old patterns had rules. They told you who to be and how to move through the day. The new life hasn't written those rules yet. So nostalgia shows up. Second guessing shows up. Thoughts like, at least I knew who I was back then. That doesn't mean the past was better. It means the present is still forming. And if this explanation feels uncomfortably accurate, if you've ever wondered why insight or change didn't bring the relief you expected, this channel is built around that exact gap. If you enjoy psychology that explains the why, and also stays with you for what comes next, like and subscribe. Part 6. What this phase is actually for. Here's what almost no one tells you. There's a specific phase that comes after you fix your life, and before you feel like yourself again. It's the part where nothing feels wrong enough to escape, but nothing feels right enough to settle into. That's not failure. That's recalibration. This phase exists so your system can gather evidence. Evidence that safety doesn't require urgency. That worth doesn't require struggle. That stability can actually hold. Your body is learning how to rest without collapsing. How to exist without bracing. How to let neutral be neutral without mistaking it for emptiness. This learning is subtle. It doesn't feel meaningful yet. It doesn't announce itself with relief. It often just feels quiet, flat. But flat isn't broken. Flat is uncharged. And uncharged ground is where something new eventually forms, not through effort, not through forcing meaning, but through time spent living without constant pressure. You don't need to rush this phase. You don't need to interpret it yet. You don't need to know what comes next. This in-between is part of the process, not a detour, not a mistake. You fixed the circumstances. Now your internal world is catching up, and for a while that catching up feels like nothing at all.